All right, good evening. I would like to first welcome y'all, everyone who's listening on the call this evening. On behalf of Queendom Come, we welcome you to our Queen Calls. As customary, we would like to open our Queen Call up with a brief prayer. Heavenly Father, we beseech thy help and ask thy mercy. We believe in thee. We trust in thee for all that we need. Heavenly Father, we seek your refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek your refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek your refuge from cowardliness and niggardliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. Heavenly Father, suffice us thou with what is lawful. Keep away from us that which is prohibited. And with thy grace, keep us free of want of all that is besides thee. We ask that you please bless the hearts and minds of all those who are on this call, that we may receive valuable information that will impact our lives so that we may be of better service to you. We ask that you please bless our presenter, her heart, her mind, the words that come forth, that we may use them to better our lives. We want to say thank you, Father, for another day, another chance at doing better, another chance to strive harder in your way. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for another opportunity to do better and to get it right. We ask that you please bless everyone on this call that's listening tonight, that we walk away inspired, uplifted, renewed, and that we walk away with something of good that we can use to be more effective and more productive so that we may be better vessels to serve your will. Amen. All right, Queens, welcome to our Queen Call. On behalf of Queendom Come, I would like to welcome you all again this evening. I am Queen Oshia, one of the founders of Queendom Come. And for those who are logging on for the first time, Queendom Come Incorporated is a nonprofit organization for girls and women. Our whole intent and desire is to empower young women and girls everywhere so that they can live to their full potential and that they can live lives on purpose for a purpose. And we truly believe here at Queendom Come that our community will not get any better. Our world, society, our families will not get any better until we invest, cultivate, nurture, develop, protect the female. And so that is our whole purpose, desire, and intent at Queendom Come, and that is to uplift, cultivate, and educate and inspire females. And with that being said, out of that desire, one of the things that we do is we love to share information. We are into truth trafficking, if you will, where we like to share information with our sisters to build a coalition, a sisterhood, whereby we share and empower one another. I like to call these empowerment sessions because that is what they are. It's a short amount of time, and the best thing about it is that the information is so valuable that we've been sharing by the grace of God. They have been very, very phenomenal, and we intend to keep with that tradition this evening. And the good thing about this is that you can do it in the comfort of your home. So this afternoon, we are very, very excited with our guest speaker we have this evening, and which I consider to be a very timely subject. And the subject tonight we have for our Queen call tonight is Queens Securing Their Financial Present and Future. And in my humble opinion, this topic is so relevant in today's society, being that whether you're a single mother, this is important to you, or if you're a married woman, this is important to you because more often than not, it takes two people working in a household to really stay above the poverty line in today's society and to live the life that you want. A lot of times it takes two. And so as a queen, we always try to be efficient. We always try to be the best at whatever we are attempting to do. And so this right here, securing our financial present and future, is very, very relevant information. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on our warrior queen. I like to call her our warrior queen, Sister Sadia, who will introduce our phenomenal speaker this evening. Queen Sadia, are you on?
I am. Thank you, Queen Sister Oshia. And so it is my pleasure and it is an honor as you were talking, Sister O'Shea, Queendom Come, we were set up as a sisterhood. And the lifeline, the energy that we put out there is that, if there was a meme, and we see this meme all the time, it says, queens don't compete, we collaborate. And so it just so happens that we met a beautiful, strong sister who's the CEO of this Queen organization. And, in fact, the name of the organization is called QueenLyfe. And we have similar, similar missions in what we're trying to do. Now, we're both in our own different lanes, but we have the same love, we have the same passion. And so it excited me that, I saw her, and I don't know who reached out to who first, but we both knew that we needed to connect with each other on this particular level, because we got to bring this queendom in, this queendom in. So without further ado, let me tell you about this beautiful, strong sister, Sister Queen Candace L. Strother. She is the CEO of QueenLyfe Inc. That's QueenLyfe Inc. And so she was driven by the desire to see women have a strong sense of self-acceptance, ignited Queen Candace's vision for QueenLyfe Incorporated. And her purpose, she created L.Y.F.E, Life acronym, which stands for love, period, yourself, period, first, period, every day, period. That period is important because it's a complete sentence in yourself. Love yourself first, every day. Queen Candace saw a need for women to reconnect to their birthrights as queens by promoting the powerful message of self-love. When Queen Candace became a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, she was able to experience and understand the power of collaboration and sisterhood. Upon graduating from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Queen Candace earned her Bachelor's of Science in Business Marketing, and she holds over 15 years' experience within the financial services. Because Queen Candace understands the importance of financial literacy and credit education, she is determined to equip her community with tools to make informed financial decisions. So if you want to learn more about Queen Candace and about her organization, QueenLyfe Inc., you can log on to www.QueenLyfe.org. Without further ado, let us welcome our beautiful sister, Sister Candace L. Strother. Sister Candace, you there?
I'm there. Thank you so much, Sister Sadia. I really appreciate it. And greetings to all the queens of Queendom Come for this opportunity. I also want to thank the guests who have called in and just your intention of increasing your knowledge for financial wellness. So my goal for this call is to share the strategies that will allow us to decrease debt and increase our savings. Another focus I want to discuss is the importance of building and maintaining strong credit. So if you guys are aware, there's a major wealth gap between households of color and those of non-color. So, Queens, it's very vital that we work towards closing this wealth gap because we have to start building legacies for our children. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of starting over in my life. We have so many tools and resources available that we should really be focusing on leaving legacies of pre-existing family wealth. Right? Would you agree? So before I get into the presentation, I do want to share a little bit more about my journey with you. As Sister Sadia expressed, I am the founder of QueenLyfe, and QueenLyfe really, to me, brought me out of a place of stagnation, of really feeling complacent. And I had a desire to reconnect to my royal birthright as being a queen. And the only way I was going to get to that reconnection is by loving myself. The power of self-love reconnected me to who I really was. So with QueenLyfe, with prayer and meditation, I wrote down the vision of what a queen life should look like. And this became my business plan. So within QueenLyfe, we have 5 core values. Those core values are healthy relationships, creative expression, mentorship, civic engagement, and financial literacy. So what better time to talk about financial wealth, financial wellness, literacy, than in Financial Literacy Awareness Month. And I also want to share with you, in February, I took a leap of faith and left my company and decided to pursue my QueenLyfe. So here's to entrepreneurship, and here's to inspiring other queens to just live their best life. This is one life that we get, and it's really time that we tap into who we really are. So, as stated, I worked in financial services for many years, about 15 years, and I had various roles. And I'm very passionate about empowering my community with tools and resources. And reason being is because as a financial analyst, it was my role to approve or deny credit loan applications. So in this role, I encountered many people that I would have loved to help, especially people that looked like me, whether if they were a woman, whether if they were of color, or just we have similar interests. But because often with low credit standing, I wasn't able to offer them anything but advice, right? So with that being said, I really like to start our discussion about credit. So, beloveds, I want to start with this. Please do not rely on credit karma. And reason being, in many cases, when members would tell me, oh, yeah, I have a credit score in the 700 range and I should be good to go, that was not the case, because what I was able to do was access credit reports directly from the source, whether it be Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion. And that score would be a lot different from what Credit Karma presented. So I know it's a free resource, and a lot of people like it, but I would advise you to be aware of what your credit score is by going directly to the source. And everybody's entitled to a free credit report every year, and you can go to annualcreditreport.com to access that report. I want to talk about credit, too, because, without credit, a lot of things are not as easily attainable. Of course, your mortgage, many of us have to have an auto loan, and just having credit in case of emergency. So it's very important that you understand what determines your credit score. I want to focus on three main things that will determine what your score is. So the first thing is going to be your payment history. Now, we rely very heavily, I'd say about 35% of your overall score is based on how you pay your bills. And I don't care, Queens, if you had a bill 20 years ago, they, at this time, do not drop off. As people assume that, if I don't pay it, it'll fall off my credit report in 7 years. Well, I'll be honest with you, that is no longer the case. There's collection companies that will buy an old account from a Chase or whoever you had your original account from and pretty much act like it's a new account for you to pay, and it'll be a negative report on your credit report. So payment history is very important, that you don't delay in paying off old accounts, old debts, and anything that's old. So secondly, second biggest portion of what determines your credit score is going to be your amount owed. So for instance, with your credit card, a great rule of thumb is going to be to have no more than 50% of your limit used, and I'd say even 35%. So, for example, if I have a $1,000 line of credit, I want to make sure that I'm not using more than $500 of that credit limit, because if I do, that does have an adverse effect on my credit score and can weigh it down, right? So third point is going to be your length of credit history. This is very important, Queens, because a lot of times people will think, I paid a credit card off, let me close my account. But it's very important that you do not, because if you've had great payment history on a particular account, you paid it off and, you want to close it, well, all of your credit history will be eliminated by you closing that account. So from a lender standpoint, we want to see how long you've had established credit, because that can determine if we trust in approving you with a new line of credit. One thing I do want to point out, too, Queens, is the lower your credit score is, the higher would be your interest rate. So, for instance, if you're in the, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but even to have a credit score in the mid-600s, like 640, versus your credit score in the 700 range, that can be a difference of $300 per month that you are spending, because with that lower credit score, you qualify for a higher interest rate. So that $300 can be used towards savings, towards paying off other debt. So it's very important that we build our credit. And I'll say one thing. In my former life, I worked for a credit union. And I like the credit union because somebody sat down with me, and, we sat down with our members, and we discussed options on the credit report, what may be bringing the credit down, what can we do to possibly get in a better credit position in the next 6 months. And they have a lot of great tools and resources available that often are at a lower interest rate than what you're paying for, your regular big bank account. So I definitely encourage building a relationship with the credit union. Another thing about credit unions, too, is they do have options that, for instance, the credit union I worked for, they had a line of credit which was really good. It allowed you to transfer any pre-existing debt at a 0% interest rate, and that would be for 12 months. And they also gave an option to pay off any debts that you were able to pay off, but to choose a 5.9 interest rate until the balance was paid off. So what that means is pretty much you have an option to pay something off with no interest in a year, or to pay it off at a lower interest rate than your typical credit card, because credit cards typically could be in the 20s, the 18s, even the 10% is high. So you do have options within your credit union to balance transfer for no fees and to pay off debt within a certain amount of time. Something that's very important to know and understand is when you are applying for credit, you want to make sure that you understand all of the terms, because this is a contract. So basically, if you don't know something, then don't sign that line. And key things you want to really understand is the annual fee, the annual percentage rate. So the APR, or interest rate, which is the same thing. You also want to understand the credit limit. You want to understand the penalties for late or missed payments as well. When are your payment due dates? So once you have an understanding of everything that you're signing and you feel comfortable and you've done your research, then you make sure you make an advised decision to either sign or decline the loan. Interview a loan officer just as they interview you, right? One thing I do want to stress, Queens, is please avoid payday loans. Listen, if you have to sell everything in your house, I know some of us have bags or shoes or something that we're no longer wearing, but at all costs, make sure you avoid payday loans, because to me this is predatory lending. And what that is an extremely high interest rate that you never get to pay off. It's not realistic. And often these companies, they make it sound so easy for you to obtain lending. Oh, yes, just sign here and give me your bank account information, and you walk out the door with $1,000. But in reality, that $1,000 might cost you $5,000. So it's not worth it. And, it's important that we share this information with our community, because in working in finance, I've seen a lot of people struggle with payday loans. And as you know, anything that's so easy to get is not worth it all the time. So, again, avoid the payday loans. You want to make sure you look for lower interest rates again. And often when you don't have credit, there is options to build. And a product that I really like is secured loans. So, for instance, the credit union I was with, we had a program where didn't have any credit, you can put at least $500 into your savings account. That $500 will give you an automatic loan approval with a $500 limit. So that would count for a trade line and give you a healthy start to building your credit. So one thing I do want to point out is beware also of credit repair companies. Let me tell you something. You are the credit repair company, because anything that they're doing on your behalf, you can really do yourself. You are the answer. Okay? So when I talked about repaying old accounts, or just something that you're unsure of, you make sure you call, which the number is going to be listed on your credit report, to any trade line. Make sure you call for clarity. And if there's a collection on your account, I'll tell you what has worked for many people is negotiating with that collector, because often they want something. They don't just want to still try to collect from you. But if you can say, okay, I owe you $1,000, all I have is $500. Can you take this and consider my account paid in full? You will be surprised of how many people will work with you, because they'd rather have something versus nothing. So, again, you are the credit repair company. Why pay a third party to do what you can do yourself? You can take that money that they would charge you and pay off debt, pay off that collection. So a couple of things when it comes to credit to keep in mind, Queens, is to make sure you pay all of your bills consistently every month. Write it down. Put it in your calendar. But it's very vital that you make a habit out of paying them on time or even early. Again, you want to keep your revolving balances below 50%, and that's on all credit card accounts. So the good thing about a credit card is when you pay it off, you can still use it for future use, especially if it's active. Keep your oldest accounts active. Again, great payment history helps you in terms of getting loan approvals, helps you in terms of increasing your credit score. Another tool is to get a secured credit card if necessary. Sometimes my members would have come out of a bankruptcy, and so when you're coming out and repairing your credit from a bankruptcy, it can be a little difficult. Having a secured credit card is a great way to do that and start that rebuilding process. And you want to make sure, lastly, that you limit the number of credit card applications made, because every time you access your credit report or you're applying for loans, that does bring your credit score down a little bit. So that's our credit talk. I do want to shift to budget. Now, budgeting is one of the most important foundations of strategic financial planning. One thing you want to keep in mind is budgeting allows you to identify wasteful spending habits. And it just allows you to say, do I really need this? Let me determine my wants versus my needs. It also allows you to adapt as life happens. If you know, like me, transitions happen in life. You have job changes, relationship changes, X, Y, Z. So you want to make sure that the things that you are budgeting are within what you can handle. And also, budget decreases your stress level. You would be amazed on how much stress money puts on couples, on individuals, on you really just living your best life. So when you create your budget, I would say what you want to do first is pay yourself. I act like I'm a bill. Candace L. Strother is a bill every month, and she is due on the 15th. So I pay myself, and I pay myself at least 10 to 15% of my net income, and that's what I take home every month. And something else that's been very helpful for me is to write out all of my monthly expenses. And I'm old school, so I can write out all my bills, and I like to check them off once they're paid. So that way I'm visually seeing all of these things on paper and knowing that they're paid off and that I'm not missing everything. So another focus is to make sure that you focus on living on less than what you earn. Queen, that's so important. I know, a lot of us, we love the finer things in life. We love these new shoes. We love, new outfits. We've already posted it on Instagram or Facebook, so I can't wear it again. But I'm going to tell you this. creating financial wellness is a mental shift that we really have to dig deeper into. And we have to break cycles of lack. We have to break cycles of just poor money management, because we see how it's affected our community. So versus, and I'm not saying don't treat yourself, but make sure that you're being mindful of paying off all of your priorities before you access cash for that new outfit, that trip. So just be mindful of that. Another key point that's helped me is in terms of budgeting for my housing expense. I like to stay between 30% or lower of my net income. So for my mortgage, I'm only paying 30% of what I earn. And, if you can pay less than that, that's great, because you can allocate those funds to increase your savings, to pay off debt, to just, take that vacation, pay cash for it. For transportation, I say stay within 10 to 15%, and that's your car note, if you have to have one. If you don't have a car note, even better. Put that towards savings. Again, pay yourself that 10 to 15%, if not more, right? So when it comes to savings, you have options. And I would say if you have a bank or credit union, you want to make sure that you sit down with a professional so they can explain to you some investment options. But keep in mind, we want to make sure that we have our credit in the best position. We want to make sure that we are saving, and that is going to allow us to build investments, to leave an inheritance. And again, when we think about leaving pre-existing wealth, that allows our children not to have to start from scratch every time. They can have funds for that first home. They can have funds for that business. Again, it's about shifting that mental relationship with money into abundance, and us really understanding that we create our wealth, we create our lives with everything, and we have the tools and resources to do so. So I encourage you, sit down with that professional. Make sure that they explain to you annuities. Make sure they explain to you whole life insurance with supplemental retirement and any other investment products. I'm not an investment specialist, but I can totally provide some resources that might be helpful in some institutions that I feel have been helpful for me in our Q&A portion. So, Queens, I just want to encourage you, make sure you start saving, and you start today. Start with something. Even if it's saving all your $5 bills, whatever works for you, you have to start somewhere. And what you want to be mindful of is take a look at your bills. What can you shop around and get lower premiums on? For instance, I called my insurance company for my auto insurance, and I threatened them that I would leave, and, I wanted to see if there was anything they could do. So, of course, they found this new plan that pretty much cut my premium in half. So do that with your cable bill. Do that with your cell phone bill. There's ways, because these companies, every month they could creep up. But if you are unmindful of it, that bill can continually increase if you don't negotiate with them. All right. So I want to talk about relationships and money, too, just a little bit. Something that's very important is to understand the responsibilities of co-signing. So I'll say this. My mother was really, really good with me. So when I was a teenager, she opened up an account with her and myself. That allowed me to start building credit. But the good thing about her is that she was responsible with that account. She maybe used it once and paid it off. So by the time I got to college, I had amazing credit. And, of course, all the credit card companies were sending me information, giving me free CD cases, not to age myself, but at that time, that's what they were offering, and a T-shirt. So, because of the tools that she blessed me with not to get in debt, she taught me these ways to build credit, but she really instilled in me that it's not free money. I have to pay it back and at a cost. So that in that case, co-signing was not bad because she trusted me that I would be responsible and not use the account that we open together to establish credit. So on the other hand, co-signing, if somebody asks you to co-sign or you're asking somebody to co-sign, just be aware that it's like them accepting the loan payment as well. Because if you can't pay that bill, the responsibility is left with them to take care of. And same thing, when you're looking at a loan, you may be in a situation where your debt to income, meaning the debt you have compared to the income that you have on a monthly basis, is too high, and you are overextended to qualify for another loan. Even if it is a co-signed account, even if it is a joint account, lenders are going to treat that like it's yours. So just be very mindful of asking and accepting any co-signed account. Remember, if you co-sign for the loan, you own it. So, Queens, I really want to share with you some information that has been very helpful for me. One website is myfico.com. They have a lot of resources. They talk all about credit, all about what's important, all about what it affects your credit score directly, soft pulls, hard pulls, what that means. So I definitely encourage you to look at that site and share it with others, especially if they're not familiar with credit. Credit is not a bad thing. We need it. And the better credit we have and the more we manage it, the more opportunities we have as we build wealth. So another resource, that was myfico.com, so MYFICO.com.
Thank you.
Okay. A book that has been resourceful for me in shifting my perspective and my relationship with money is The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas J. Stanley. So this is not an easy read. I've got the audio book. It's good for me as I'm going from destination to destination, but it gives a lot of insight on how millionaires think and how they've been able to create and maintain wealth. So at this time, I would like to open the floor for Q&A. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer the best I can.
Yes, ma'am. So we have teenagers, and you talked about your mother, how she co-signed for a credit card. Mm-hmm. And I remember being in college, and because I had no credit or I had good credit, I ended up in debt. And in law school, I was digging myself out of the debt that I put myself into in college. So as parents, what do we tell our children as far as debt, money, finances, entrepreneurship, just money, period, that they can understand? Because it seems like when you talk about money, it seems like it's like when you're talking about mathematics, it's high science, and then we just rather stick our head in the sand.
Absolutely. That's a great question. One thing I did notice, Queens, is I would look at who would come into my financial institution and make great big, transactions. They would also bring their children with them to the bank. This allows them to gain an understanding at an early age of basics, like opening a bank account. Even if you're applying for a loan, share those things with them. Let them sit down with you and the loan officer as you're going through a credit application. What made it very easy for me is my mom explaining that, one day I'm going to need to buy a home. I'm going to need a car. Well, the way that I do that is by credit. But, again, this is not free money. This is for you to secure the things that you want without having to save tens of thousands of dollars at one time, but being responsible and knowing what your monthly payment is. So a lot of things that we think are high level for them, if they're around us and they're seeing these transactions at a bank, they're seeing different financial moves that we're doing, I think that exposure is going to teach them that. But they have to be very responsible and mindful and understand the other side of not maintaining healthy credit, because, now you can barely get a job, a cell phone, or apartment without having good credit. So it scares them to say, look, if you don't want to live with me until you're 40, just we have to have these candid conversations with our children so they can make better decisions, period. And exposure is the best teacher.
Now, what about relationships? When we're dealing with getting into relationships, I remember back in the day, I used to ask the brothers, let me see your credit score. So I know that's a piece.
I think it's important. I mean, it gives you insight on that person, especially if you're maintaining good credit, and credit is important. That's one of your core relationship values. Then you need to ask, how's your credit? How strong? And there's ways that you could do it. How strong is your credit? And of course, if you guys are committed, then let me see your credit score. Because if we're going to be together, we're going to have to eventually make financial decisions. So you need to know everything that you're getting into. Is this more of a liability than an asset? Is this relationship worth it or not?
No, that's because he had a bunch of stuff on credit, like furniture on. Everything was on credit. He was a thousandaire, and it just something didn't just seem right about that. But I know you're on the line. Even in law school, they look at our credit and they make decisions about our credit as it concerns the state bar and our character and fitness. If we're not paying child support, if we're have to pay child support and we're not paying that, that's on our credit report, and that's the issue.
Well, this is the thing.
Right.
Credit can show you somebody's character. Now, there's always circumstances. We fall on hard times and this and that. There's always a story. But what are we doing to fix it? When you're a lender, they teach you character. How does this person's credit, what does it tell you about their character? Are they responsible? Right. Are they, mindful of not accumulating much debt? Would you trust them with your money out of your pocket? And that's how we have to think as a lender.
Right. That is so funny because, I think that it definitely tells something about credit. I do think, though, we have to have a little leniency in our community because we just don't get the education. And so sometimes, because I know when I went to college, again, they were coming after me, and my mother didn't ever talk to me about money at all. And so, of course, you learn through experimentation. I know better now, of course, but I mean, I'm over 30, but that's pretty funny. I had a question, though, about, you talked about credit, you talked about the budget. So, for example, I have decent credit. I'm just using a hypothetical situation. If I have decent credit, I'm working, earning, I have a budget, and I'm able to put, just say the average, maybe $200 to $500 away for savings. But now I want to expand my financial portfolio because I think a lot of people sometimes they save money and they just have it in the bank. But what resources or direction that you can lead anyone who's trying to, invest and try to expand their financial portfolio to where they're not just earning money from their job, but they're actually making the savings more productive versus just sitting in the bank?
Absolutely. So the great thing is we all have access to a financial advisor. Whether it's through your credit union, you can easily make an appointment with them, sit down and talk about your options. And even through your employer. Your employer works with a 401k, a investment company with your investments, your 401k. You can call them directly and get clarity. Right. Make sure that they're allocating your portfolio, meaning that, the investments that they currently have you in are the best ones for you. So I would encourage you to make an appointment at your local bank, your credit union, with their wealth advisor. And it's free. It's a free resource that people just don't take advantage of, maybe because they don't feel like they have enough to invest. But you have to start somewhere.
I agree. That's very, very good. I'm glad that you said that because we've got to get out of our comfort zone and ask for help and get a mentor, a financial mentor or a financial advisor, so that we can be successful and be productive in all that we do. I'm just finding it more and more that, especially in our community, I keep saying our community, it's just that we're just not as educated as we need to be about money, and a lot of times we're hesitant to go get help. We're hesitant to go get help because we don't really trust people with our money,
That's true.
We get something and we hold on to it.
And, I think that's very true. And it's just a shift. It's a mental shift because,
again,
this wealth gap is serious. And
it is.
Like some of the biggest factors or causes of wealth gap is home ownership, household income, unemployment, college education, and lack of inheritance, lack of pre-existing wealth that's not being passed. So we have to change that narrative, and we actually have the tools and resources to do so. So that's why I say, not everybody has access to financial literacy, to presentations, XYZ. So it's important that we share this information.
Yes. And that's very true. Yes.
Yeah. Talk to our communities, talk to our children. I mean, I've really enjoyed going to colleges and talking to the students about finances. A lot of them are saying, I wish I would have learned this earlier, but,
Oh, yes.
So you know now, so you know better, you do better.
Right. And you're right. You do need to talk to someone because you can always look on the Internet and find stuff, but it's so much out there. You need some help sorting it out because it's so much overwhelming. It's so much overwhelming information, and if you don't know what you're doing, it's hard to sort it out. And so definitely I agree with that. We definitely need to educate and have more, I would say, platforms where our community is talking about this kind of financial building from people that, we can trust. So thank you so much. This is Sadia. Did you have any other questions?
No, I wanted to open up. I'm going to do this. Open up the line. If anybody, let me unmute everybody.
All right. So what she's doing is opening up the line. If you have any questions for our guests, feel free at this time to ask your question.
I have a question.
Sure. Go ahead, Sister Forrester.
Yes, ma'am, it's me. What if you're just not good in managing and cleaning up your credit yourself? I think I took plenty of notes in your annual credit report. You can do it yourself. But if you still are uncomfortable about doing it yourself, what services or businesses do you recommend that if that doesn't charge a high fee of helping you clean up your credit? Do you have any recommendations for that?
I do.
Do you have any recommendations for any credit union that you've worked with in the financial industry that is around the nation that some of us could open up accounts with? Because I never knew that about the credit unions, even though I work for a Fortune 500 company and really never even thought about them. I just go to the regular banking institutions. So can you, if you have any credit unions as well to recommend, can you share that with us as well, too?
Oh, totally. Great question. In terms of you wanting to repair credit but just feeling like, you may not have the resources, I say just be mindful that it takes time. I would exhaust calling the collectors and trying to negotiate with them because the worst thing they can say is no. So after you've done that, the second thing, and this is the answer to the next question, is go to your credit union because when they open your account, they're going to pull a credit report. So the financial service rep is going to sit down with you and take a look at your credit and see if there's anything that they can offer you to pay off old accounts. Because ultimately, you want to pay off accounts, because that's really the only way that it's really going to make an impact in increasing your credit score. So, and if there's something on your credit that's not yours, try to dispute it. Just, again, exhaust all of your efforts, because there's really not a credit repair company that I personally trust. Again, in working in finance for 15 years, I just think that you're paying them for the convenience of them negotiating with the creditors directly. So you're paying the middleman when you can be really just paying off that debt. So that would be my best advice. Go to your local credit union. The credit union I used to work for was TDECU. So they are only in Texas, but the good thing about credit unions, they are often on a co-op system. So say you travel outside of Texas, you travel somewhere, that doesn't have a TDECU, then you can find, there's a website that you can go to, and I'm going to try to look it up pretty quickly, that allows you to locate shared credit unions. So those credit unions will allow you to access your local credit union account. So if you give me, and I could take a couple more questions and still look for that information for you, but they're a co-op credit union. And it'll just, again, allow you to access another credit union and be able to access the funds in your particular credit union.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You know what? I found that website. It's co-opss.org.
Say that in letters. What is it? O
as in October, P as in Peter,
yeah.
F as in Frank,
okay,
S as in start.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Now, what about repossession?
Well,
it's
a little tough on that one because a repossession is something that you can come back from, depending on the circumstances. If you cannot pay it off, you want to be mindful in just sharing with, say, for instance, your credit union of what happened. Tell them, explain to them the circumstances. I lost my job. This is what was going on at that time. I got divorced, XYZ. So if you can't pay it off, it's going to stay on your credit. Now, if your other accounts are healthy, if there's a trend in where you're maintaining other good accounts, they will have some leniency. But still, that repo, is going to be on your credit and definitely adversely affect your credit score. Something to rebuild from a repossession is a secured credit card or a secured loan, because those are going to be automatic approvals with the credit union and allow you to establish healthy trade lines. Things happen in life, but what's important is how we maintain and kind of recoup from that, especially if we're asking for new loans.
Correct. And I have one more question, Sister Candace.
Sure.
How much should we have saved up? Some people say you need to have 3 months saved up of, income in case something happens, or 6 months, or, what's the standard that you should have saved up in case of emergency?
I would always say for emergencies, if you can do 6 months to a year, that's perfect. That's like, you have cushion, because time is going by so quick. 2 months is like, okay, what's next? So if you can have at least 6 months, that takes time, and we're all, we're working towards that. But if you can set that as a goal, that would be of your best interest. So, and I will say this, me personally, I was able to make a leap of faith because I set a goal. The beginning of 2016, I wrote in my journal, I will be debt-free by the end of this year. And that affirmation came to life for me. So I was able to pay off my debt and really increase my savings. So all the debt that I was paying and I paid off, I still acted like it was there, and I put that same amount of money in my savings account just because I was already used to paying that anyway. So it wasn't like, yay, let me go on a shopping spree. I had to be very mindful because I knew that I wanted to eventually leave my job. So that was another motivator for me, like, let me save my money so I could take this leap of faith and really pursue QueenLyfe the way and give QueenLyfe the attention it needs.
Now, before we get off the line, Sister Candace, can you tell us some more about your programs that you have with QueenLyfe and anything that's upcoming?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you asked. So with QueenLyfe, we're doing a lot of activities and being very mindful. I really want to focus on mind, body, soul. And so all the activities we have, the programming, are going to be connected to our 5 core values. So up next, I have a membership. And with QueenLyfe membership, it's really giving you access to engage with other like-minded queens, access to private members-only events, a free QueenLyfe shirt, and a discount off any ticketed event as well. Another thing about the membership is we're going to Paris in March of 2018, so the members will be considered priority for who's going on this trip. So with that membership, it's $100. You just go to QueenLyfe.org, join the movement. We have an upcoming members-only yoga class on May 21st. Again, body, mind, soul, and just really allowing queens to breathe it out and to move and to engage in activity that allows us to really tap into who we are as queens. So that's for members only. For everybody else, there is a healthy relationship-focused event called Sip and Share, Wine, Conversations, and Connections. That is going to be on June 24th. And the theme is Summer Soul Session. So we're going to really be talking about mind, body, soul, healthy lifestyle, habits, people that are in fitness, people that are chefs that cook organic, healthy food, just healthy lifestyle, period. In relation to financial literacy, we have Life Class. And so we're on our second installment, which is the investment installment. We have a representative from New York Life who's going to lead that presentation. That is going to be July 29th. So I know I just said a mouthful. The best thing to do is go to QueenLyfe.org and subscribe to the newsletter, subscribe for you to be able to get the e-blast, which is going to give you that same information that I just spoke about. So please go to QueenLyfe, L.Y.F.E.org, subscribe, and consider joining the movement. You know, it's all about connecting and really coming together because, again, it's not a competition. We have to support each other because, think about it, society beats us up. I don't have any other way to put it. We have got to come together and lift each other up, period. That's the only way we're going to get things done. And it's about progressive movement in life, period. So I would love to have you queens a part of the movement, hopefully collaborate on some future activities in the future, and serve as mentors to our young ladies because we have to give this information to them.
Yes,
we are the
ma'am.
examples.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, before we get on off the line, we have one of our next Queen caller speakers, Sister Tracy J. And I just want you to, couple of minutes, kind of give us a teaser on what to expect for June 29th. Sister Tracy.
Well, I'm here. Hello, everybody. So I am Tracy J, and I am the world's only introspection guide. My mission in life is to help us ask ourselves better questions so we can hear from ourselves what we think, feel, and believe that wasn't dictated by an outside force.
Wow. The only world introspection. Say that again.
The world's only introspection guide.
Wow, that's powerful. So as you can see, our Queen calls, we just constantly, as Sister O'Shea talked about, we're into truth trafficking, and this is a sister circle where we just share information. And, I've never heard of an introspection guide, and there's only one in this world, and so we have the luxury to be able to have these type of sisters to give us and share with us and pour into us their knowledge, their wisdom, and their education, and their purpose in their life. So, again, Sister Candace, Sister Tracy, we thank you for being on this mission to help bring in the queendom. And I promise you tonight I will be signing up for my membership because I want those exclusive benefits as well, and I love parrots.
Yay.
So thank you, Sister.
Yay.
Yep.
Queen, thank you so much for just allowing this opportunity. It's a true example of partnership and support and collaboration.
Yes, ma'am. And Sister O'Shea, why don't you close us out? Our next Queen call is going to be May 25th.
The last Thursday, May 25th. Mark your calendar, set your phones. You don't want to miss it.
And please close us out, Sister O'Shea. And we love you. We love you all, and we look forward to hearing from you on next month.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Close us out, Sister O'Shea, in prayer.
Sister Sadia.
Yes, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Sister O'Shea, yes, we can hear you now, sis.
Okay, now you can hear me. Okay, I've been talking for a minute now, but no. As always, please visit our website at myqueendom.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, every social site that you can just think about. Please go and like our page. Leave us a message, what you think of the calls. We love, love, love your continued support. We also, our next Queen Summit will be in November, so we're also looking forward to that as well. But to stay abreast on the events that we're having, please check us out on Facebook at queendomcome.com. With that being said, we're going to close this wonderful program out with prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all that you have done and all that you continue to do and all that you will do. We ask that you continue to bless all those who are on the call, our presenters, our listeners. We ask that they walk away inspired, informed, motivated, and we pray that we can use what you have for us today on this call to better ourselves, to be a better service. With that being said, amen. And as always, at Queendom.com, we believe that a nation can rise no higher than its woman. And with that, sisters, we'll see and hear from, well, hopefully we'll hear from you on the next call, May 25th. Have a blessed evening.
Peace.